Otto, I want to thank you for those wonderful comments. You're getting quite a few accolades in the chat and other places as well. A couple of questions as we move into this time, and we'll continue to encourage people to source questions in the chat. I want to start kind of local, and then you gave us such an amazing model, build to the larger. You ended talking about that important sense of I, in me, in you, and others. Any direction you would give for those of us on this call as we all look inside of ourselves and reflect on that document of methods or approaches to how we can continue our own progression? Because Al offers specifically, I do not feel that I'm at the center of that diagram yet in my own reflection. Others may or may not feel the same way. Any practices, approaches, books, thoughts that can help us continue our own evolution to be the type of leader that can operate in that 4.0 system?
I would say the most important practice from a leadership point of view is the first one that I mentioned, listening. It's the foundation of everything. It's the most unnarrated leadership skill and competence. And it's something we all do 16 plus hours a day, one way or another. So there's ample of opportunity to move out of the first two levels. And it is not that there is a good level and a bad level. That doesn't exist in social science. It doesn't exist in management. There's only levels that are appropriate to a situation and those that are not. And to assessing that is your job as a leader, is your job as an educator. So what this framework does is it's giving you a tool to ask these two basic questions. Number one, what is the level I'm currently operating on, my level of listening? Am I just projecting stuff? So when you are sitting in a meeting and everything that happens is pretty much exactly what you expected to see, that's when you're on level one. That's when you're downloading. That means, nothing new is entering your mind, right? It's just kind of reconfirming what you already know. And that's not good or bad. It's just kind of 1 out of 4. But if you live in a moment of disruption, of profound change, that one mode, of course, is not enough, right? So the second one, so how would you know whether or not you move from just reconfirming what you already know to factual listening? And the answer is so our attention on the first level is really pretty much on our internal narrator, right? Kind of we are really, and the moment you forget this and really are 100% attending towards someone sitting next or opposite to you, is actually saying kind of that's when you move into number two. And often and the result is that we notice something new, right? We notice something that's unexpected. And that's really what you want to be training yourself to. So if you didn't expect anything new or unexpected, you have not been on the second level, okay? So that's how you would know. And then how would I know whether I move to the third level, which is empathic listening? And the answer is, if you don't go away from a meeting with truly a new perspective, right, through someone else's eye, that you have been encountering, and through which, at least for a little moment, you forgot about your own agenda, forgot about your own view or take on that, but really put yourself into someone else's shoes, which is the perspective you will take with you afterwards. If you don't have that, and if you just got some new ideas, but you look at these ideas from just your silo view, then you haven't been on level 3. So level 3 is really kind of this deep dive, this kind of putting yourself into someone else's shoes, forgetting your own stuff for a little moment, right? And coming away kind of with genuinely a different perspective that you weren't quite aware of before. And how would I, so those are the first 3. They're all very, I'm not saying anything new here, right? So it has been said in different ways many times. That doesn't mean it's done, but it has been said before. The only potentially new thing is in all these parts of this sphere that I shared with you, all 12 dimensions, the only new thing is level 4. And in terms of listening, that is, how would I know whether or not I was on level 4? I would say two or 3 things. One is the level of energy is up, right? And regardless how tired you are fully energized after. Secondly, if you really, and that sounds a little horny or funny, but it's actually kind of a very clear criteria from a first-person view, I would say, is if when you leave a meeting, you are still the same person you were when you entered that meeting, you have not been on level 4. Because level 4 means you're no longer the same person. You're just a little more who you really are, right? There's a little shift. A shift in which direction? In the direction of who you really are. And again, it sounds funny, maybe abstract, but it's not abstract. It's subtle, right? And it's something you will immediately recognize when you are in that experience or just coming out of that experience. So your sense of self has shifted. The sense of identity is kind of somewhat clarifying or intensifying. And the last one, the third criteria is this. And that's the simplest, right? It's the most tangible, if you want. Whether or not something new was born. Right? If there is something new born, so level 4 means it's an arrival process of something of significance that's beginning to be born that in your bones will guide your future path one way or another.